Hi everyone, it's Cindy from Cindy's Art. Let's get ready for today's lesson. Help me share my work by liking, commenting, and subscribing to this channel. Today we're going to paint these roses, and I actually took the photo. I'm using Arches watercolor paper and Holbein paints. I'm using a 4x6 paper and taping it down with my washi tape just to cover some of the edges. I'm going to start off sketching my rose with a watercolor pencil, and as I paint, water is going to make those lines disappear. It's perfect to use. Other materials I've used, I mentioned the Arches paper. My brushes are Golden Natural brushes by the Brush Guys. Great place, great price. And then a list of my Holbein paints are found here as well. Stop the video and check those out. I'm going to begin underpainting this painting by adding yellow in. It's going to wind up creating a yellow cast, and even as the picture progresses. The next thing I'm going to do is add in a few shadows so I know where the brightest spots are, where some of the darker spots are. And to make those shadows, I am using the diazinon purple mixed in with some of my opera and my magenta mineral. So I'm going to use a little bit of mineral violet mixed with a tiny bit of ultramarine blue deep, and I'm going to add it in to the base first of this petal, which is closest to the rose. And I'm going to deepen that up, and I don't have a ton of water. I'm using a wet on wet, but it's very softly wet. It's not. I'm adding in a tiny bit of water onto my paper, letting that dry. It's going to be wet on wet, but it's not going to be sopping wet. And then I'm going to dab in a little bit of paint. What's going to happen is that's going to begin to spread. It's not too wet, otherwise there's no way this would work. Play with your paper. Try out wet on wet, with very wet, with mild wet, and with just a little bit wet. And one of the ways you can do it is wet your paper, take a look at it, it'll be super shiny. Wait a few minutes, it'll be softly shiny, almost with the shine gone, and then the last phase will. While I'm letting those lighter tone petals dry, I'm going to move to an adjacent. This petal that I'm painting doesn't even touch the ones that are wet. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint some of my mid-tones. These are not the darkest petals, and these are not the lightest ones. They're mid-tones. So I'm going to just starting adding some more color so I can develop what these petals look like. As you see me continue on, I'm going to continue to lay out colors. It might be very bright. I want to bring more of these petals out. You might see me add a little bit more of the dark in there. I'm going to rotate, moving around the flower. I'm looking at my original photo, and I am just going to continue to develop the color. And for me, in order for me to learn how to paint something more softly or not as dark, because I had that habit, This is wet on wet because it's a wet brush on a wet paper. And the paper is not shiny, it is almost like the shine is gone. So I'm adding color in, and what is that going to do when I dab it like that? It's actually going to blend on its own. It's not going to spread out everywhere, it's just going to spread out a little. I'm using a 2B pencil where I can sketch in just a tiny bit of the edges of some of the detail that I want to capture for the leaves and the stems. So this is more permanent, but as I'm adding in darker colors, you're not going to see that pencil when it's. So let's take a look where we are. We can see we've got some more details to add in. Just little areas where we're going to add in some smoothness to those white spots, and the stamens we have to. For the next few minutes, I'm going to focus on negative painting. Again, we're going to go back further into the background. We're going to continue to add more dark color. I'm going to do that again and again. You could do it for many layers. I just want to do. I'm using Aurelian yellow and a sap green to add in some more color into the leaves. And the Aurelian is one of the paints that I can glaze or. The next minutes I'm going to be rotating around these petals, and I'm looking at my midtones now. I've got very dark petals, got very light petals. The question is, what do I need to add in? What more pinks or oranges or a super light pink or purple or phthalo blue do I need to add in to create a balance where this looks like a real rose? So I use a lot of opera. And there, see, there's my purple, guys. I use a lot of opera. I'll use some of the mineral violet. I'll use a shell pink in here. And I'm going to blend those colors even with a tiny, tiny bit of yellow, which is going to look like I'm putting orange on this rose a little bit. It's just providing a variety. I'm using a wet on dry technique. I am going to work around the picture now and put in final details. A lot of this is almost a dry on dry, just a little bit of paint with dry paper. But I will tell you, I work with just a little bit of water in my brush when I'm doing this. I'm adding a darker color in to outline and to create lines that are necessary for you to know it's a leaf, but I don't want to paint everything, because if I paint a ton of detail in one area, I have to do it all around. So after I get some of these lines laid in, I'm going to take a brush with just a little bit of water on it, not sopping wet. I'm going to soften those lines up. Why am I doing that? I don't want to have a harsh line for Well, I hope you enjoyed me painting the last details and kind of laying that out for you. I so enjoyed having you here today. Again, hit like and hit subscribe, give me a comment, and I look forward to seeing you the next time. And don't forget to show me your work as well. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.